The fund with the highest return on this list is ranked dead last. And I know that sounds wrong. You clicked because you saw up to 23.88%. That number is real. That fund exists. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why it's the worst choice for a retiree and which fund actually belongs at number 1. Here's what most videos about Fidelity funds get wrong. They rank funds the same way for a 25-year-old and a 65-year-old. But when you're drawing income instead of building it, the rules change completely. By the end of this video, you'll know all 6 funds ranked. You'll know how much of each to hold, you'll know which account to put them in, and you'll have a real portfolio blueprint you can act on. And the part most people miss? It's not which funds to own. It's which fund protects you when the market drops 30% the year after you retire. Quick note, I'm not a financial advisor or government employee. Everything here is for educational purposes only. For your specific situation, always check with a qualified professional. So here's how smart retirees rank their Fidelity index funds. They use 4 criteria, not 1. Expense ratio, how much the fund costs you every year. Drawdown protection, how far the fund falls in a bad market. Income yield, how much cash it puts in your pocket. And tax efficiency, how much the IRS takes from your returns. The highest return doesn't win. The best balance of all 4 wins. Let's start at the bottom. Number 6, number 5, and number 4, the growth satellites. Number 6 is FXAIX, the Fidelity MSCI Information Technology ETF. This is the fund behind that 23.88% number. And listen, that return is incredible. Over the last decade, FXAIX crushed almost everything. Pure technology. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, all the names you'd want. Expense ratio of just 0.084%. So why is it ranked last? Because FXAIX's worst single day was a 13.8% drop. Its worst month lost 11.8%. It carries about 1.4 times the volatility of the S&P 500. Now picture this. You just retired. You have $500,000. You need $40,000 a year to live. The market drops 30% in your first year. If your money is sitting in FXAIX, you just lost $150,000, and you still need to pull out $40,000 to pay your bills. That's not a bad year. That's a hole you might never climb out of. Think of FXAIX like hot sauce. A little bit adds flavor. Too much ruins the meal. Smart retirees keep FXAIX as a small satellite. 5%, maybe 8%, never the core. Number 5 is FSPGX, the Fidelity Large Cap Growth Index Fund. This fund focuses on the fastest-growing large companies, heavy in tech and consumer names. Here's something the other videos won't tell you. FSPGX launched in June of 2016. That means it just barely has a 10-year track record. Any claim of an 18.76% 10-year return is not a verified figure. Its actual 5-year return is 15.72%. Expense ratio is 0.035%. Yield is only 0.32%. Good fund, solid growth, but it fell over 29% in 2022. That kind of drop in retirement can be permanent. Another satellite, not a foundation. Number 4 is FXNAX, the Fidelity Small Cap Index Fund. Smaller companies, more growth potential, but also more risk. One bad product launch or one lawsuit can tank a small company overnight. 10-year return is 11.34%. Expense ratio is 0.025%. Yield is 0.91%. Here's the rule for all 3 of these. Combined, FXAIX, FSPGX, and FXNAX, they should never be more than 15 to 20% of a retirement portfolio. They're the engine boost, not the engine. Now, those 3 funds look impressive on a chart, but the next one is the fund most people scroll right past, and it might be the most important one on this entire list for anyone in retirement. Number 3, the fund that keeps you from betting everything on America. Number 3 is FSPSX, the Fidelity International Index Fund. Most retirees I talk to are 100% invested in the United States, and for the last 15 years, that worked. But here's a number that should make you pause. The US is only about 60% of the global stock market. That means if you only own US funds, you're ignoring almost half the world's economy. Europe, Japan, Australia, thousands of companies you've never heard of making money every single day. And this isn't just theory. In the 2000s, international stocks outperformed US stocks for an entire decade. Then, in 2025 and early 2026, the Sell America trade reminded everyone it can happen again. FSPSX tracks developed markets outside the US. 10-year return is 9.48%. Expense ratio is 0.035%. And here's the part that matters for retirees. The dividend yield is 2.88%. That's the second highest income generator on this entire list. Smart retirees don't bet everything on one country, even if it's the country they live in. So international is ranked number 3, but the fund ranked number 2 is the one that changed the most in the last 2 years, and most retirees still don't have nearly enough of it. Number 2, the fund most retirees overlook. Number 2 is FXNAX, the Fidelity U.S. Bond Index Fund. I know, bonds, not exciting. The 10-year return is only 1.67%, and you've probably heard someone on YouTube say, "I don't hold any bonds." That advice might work at 30, it can destroy your retirement at 65. Let me show you why with a story. Ray and Gloria both live in Michigan, both retired at 65 with $500,000. Ray put everything into FXAIX, the S&P 500, all stocks, no bonds. Gloria split hers, 55% FXAIX, 45% FXNAX. Year 2 of retirement, the market drops 30%. Ray needs $40,000 to live. He has to sell stocks at a loss. His portfolio drops to about $310,000, and he still needs to pull more next year. Gloria needs the same $40,000, but she pulls it from her bond bucket. Her stocks stay untouched. They recover. 5 years later, Gloria's portfolio is about $80,000 larger than Ray's, not because she earned more, because she never sold at the bottom. That's called sequence of returns risk, and it is the single biggest threat to a retiree's portfolio. Here's the myth. Bonds are dead. They barely returned anything for a decade. Here's the truth. That decade included the worst bond crash in 40 years. The 2022 bond wipeout dragged the 10-year average down to 1.67%. But today, FXNAX is yielding about 4.27%. Bonds are paying retirees more right now than most dividend stocks. The Fed is holding rates at 3.50 to 3.75% as of June 2026. Bonds finally work again. Expense ratio is just 0.025%. FXNAX is not the exciting fund. It's the fund that lets you sleep at night. Before I reveal the number 1 fund, drop a comment right now. What percentage of your portfolio is in bonds? 0, 20, 50. I read every single comment, and I'm genuinely curious where you stand. So bonds are ranked number 2. That leaves one fund at number 1, the foundation that everything else is built on. Number 1, the non-negotiable foundation. Number 1 is FXAIX, the Fidelity 500 Index Fund. This tracks the actual S&P 500, the 500 largest U.S. companies, and it does it for a cost of 0.015% per year. That's 15 cents for every $1,000 invested. 10-year return is 15.63%. It holds over $832 billion in assets. Portfolio turnover is only about 3%, which makes it one of the most tax-efficient funds you can own. For retirees, FXAIX checks every box. Low cost, deep liquidity, you can sell any amount any day, tax efficient, and the 500 largest companies in America give you built-in diversification without chasing risk. Now, you might be wondering about FSKAX, the Fidelity Total Market Index Fund. It holds about 4,000 U.S. stocks instead of 500. Same expense ratio, similar returns. Pick one or the other, not both. They overlap about 80%. One more thing. Fidelity has zero funds, like FNILX, that charge literally 0% in fees. Sounds great, but there's a trap. Zero funds track Fidelity's own proprietary index, not the actual S&P 500, and they cannot be transferred in kind to another brokerage. If you ever need to move to an advisor, to another platform, for estate planning, for a charitable gift, you have to sell everything first. In a taxable account, that triggers capital gains taxes. For retirees, portability matters more than saving 0.015%. Your money needs to be able to move when your life does. Here is the line I want you to remember. The best retirement fund isn't the one with the highest return. It's the one you never have to sell at the wrong time. Now you know all 6 ranked, but knowing which funds to own is half the answer. The other half is how much of each and which account to hold them in. That's next. Your retirement blueprint, putting all 6 together. Here are 3 sample portfolios using these 6 funds based on where you are right now. If you're already retired and drawing income, a conservative mix, 60% bonds, 40% stocks. That means 60% FXNAX, 25% FXAIX, 8% FSPSX, 2% FSNX, and 5% FTEC. Your bond bucket covers years of income. Your stocks grow quietly in the background. If you recently retired and still need growth, a moderate mix. 45% FXNAX, 32% FXAIX, 12% FSPSX, 5% FSSNX, 6% FSPGX. Growth is there, but the safety net is large. If you're 5 to 10 years from retirement, an aggressive near-retiree mix. 25% FXNAX, 40% FXAIX, 15% FSPSX, 8% FSSNX, 8% FSPGX, 4% FTEC. You still have time to recover from a bad year, so you lean into growth now and shift toward bonds as you get closer. Now here's the framework that ties it all together. It's called the bucket strategy. Bucket 1 is cash, 1 to 2 years of living expenses, money market. Not these funds. This is your paycheck replacement. Bucket 2 is FXNAX, 3 to 10 years of expenses. This is your bridge. It earns about 4.27% and refills Bucket 1. Bucket 3 is everything else. FXAIX, FSPSX, FSSNX, FSPGX, and a small slice of FTEC. This is your long-term growth engine. You don't touch it for at least 10 years. When the market drops, you spend from Bucket 1. You refill Bucket 1 from Bucket 2, and you leave Bucket 3 alone. When the market recovers, you rebalance, trim the winners, and refill the lower buckets. That's how you never sell at the bottom. That's how you protect 30 years of retirement income. One last thing. Where you hold each fund matters just as much as how much you hold. FXNAX goes in your traditional IRA. Bond interest is taxed as ordinary income, so you want the IRA sheltering that. FSPSX works well in a taxable account. It qualifies for the foreign tax credit. FXAIX and the equity funds are tax efficient and work anywhere. And the zero funds, only in an IRA or Roth, never in taxable because of that portability trap. If someone you know just retired or is getting close, send them this video right now. It could keep them from making a mistake that costs real money. Which of these 6 funds is already in your portfolio, and which one are you adding after today? Tell me in the comments. If you're building retirement income and want to stay ahead of changes like this, subscribe to this channel. I cover everything that protects your income. And if you want to see how to build monthly dividend income using ETFs at any brokerage, not just Fidelity, that video is coming next.